So, how do you get a lot out of a little? This is a key secret to, all the guys we look up to, all the musicians, the guitarists who seem to know so much. They seem to have been practicing for 100 years to know all that, to be able to play that many solos and get, put so many original things in there. Or how do you play, or compose 100 songs in your lifetime and keep creating new songs? It should be impossible, right? But this is the key that we're going to talk about. And I promise you, once you have this key, you're going to change your thinking about how you learn completely and where you're aiming really. Because we think the recipe of what we're trying to achieve, the recipe of mastery or the recipe of getting to that point where we can do everything we want, we have that wrong. It's totally flawed. There's errors in there. And this is the major error that we need to fix, right? So stay with me and be sure to subscribe to this channel and go download our free courses on alternate picking and sweep picking just below the video here. So what is it? Well, it's something that we don't see because we don't see the spaces in between what we learn. We only see what we learn, right? So, for instance, if we're practicing chords, okay, so how many open string chords do you know? Well, I got the C major down perhaps in the beginning. Well, I got the D major down and the G. Okay, so you're pretty good at those 3 chords. Yeah, but can you go in between them, right? Because coming from the C to the D is a different movement than coming from the G to the D. It's 2 different things. And we struggle with that without actually recognizing that that's what we struggle with. So we see, okay, I've been practicing these chords forever. Yeah, but have you been practicing going in between each chord? Because it's a different movement from one to the other. It just is. And you might not even remember that you struggled with this because you didn't focus on it. You just thought, okay, I still have work to do on my C chord. Yeah, because it's harder for you to go from the E to the C than it is for you to D to C. So every time you play that specific song where that little combination of chords appear, you have trouble. But we need to recognize this fact because it's a guiding principle. It's a core challenge of playing guitar. And once you have it down, I promise you, your development will soar. So let's take it to another realm, another area of guitar playing. For instance, when we're talking about techniques, and we say, okay, I'm pretty good at alternate picking now, or I can do hammer-ons and pull-offs at a pretty high level, and I can do sweep picking to some extent. But I can't use it because I haven't integrated all the technique. I can't go from sweep picking to hammer-ons and pull-offs without taking a break in between. Or I can't go from hammer-ons and pull-offs to alternate picking without having that break. So I can go, but then I have to switch to, because it's 2 different rooms in the brain. Okay, I got alternate picking here, been practicing that intensely, been hammer-ons and pull-offs over here. But to go from one room to another takes opening a door, closing it, and going into the other room. And you need to integrate those 2. How do you do that? By going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth between the 2 rooms, right? By going C, E, C, E, C, E, C, E until it's because you're practicing not the chords, but the going in between them. Or you're not practicing alternate picking and legato, you're practicing the integration, the going from one to the other. For instance, and the closer you can combine them, the better. So when we're talking techniques, a really cool exercise I used to use was to play 6 notes. Like we did in the previous video, have a 6-note shape, right? Any 6-note shape. We have 2 strings and 3 notes on each string. And I just pick my way up and down. And then, right, with alternate picking. But then I would shift and play half of the notes, which is a really close integration because I'm doing a little of each, right? So the first notes with alternate picking, and then the first note on the new string with alternate picking as well, but then hammer-ons and pull-offs. So it would go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Because there's a huge difference between going with your pick and then, because you have to get in there and out again. Right? And getting the timing right for that. But once you have this one little thing down, you have a bridge from alternate picking to legato. So you can, And once you're in legato, it's easy to continue. And if you have an easy way back, so you just play, and then you can go back to alternate picking because that's your cue. So you can go. Right? Then you can go back and forth because you have a bridge. And that really enables you to use your skills, because the going in between is the defining thing. It's like an engine, right? You can have a lot of different parts of the engine, but they have to work together. They have to just the right amount of gas into the cylinders at just the right time, and then the explosion happens. It's all a working, right? That has to work together. So you can have the best fuel injection in the world and the best whatever in the world and the whatever parts goes into an engine, right? But they have to work together just right. And that's a discipline in and of itself that has very little to do with all the parts, right? It's tweaking it so it's just perfect. It's the same thing in music, actually. Remember, we're creating the same freaking music all the time from the same 12 notes, right? The genius is not in using the same tools. The genius is in combining them in new ways, integrating them. Right? You take the same 12 notes and then you integrate them in. What is a style? Why do you like your favorite band? They have a special sound, right? Where does that special sound come from? Well, it's the combination of how the drummer actually hits the drums, how, to take any band, right? The guitar sound of, and the singer and everything that goes together when it's just right. That right combination is amazing. And the singer has a great voice. Separated from everything else, but along with the guitar and along with the band, that's what makes the band sound like it does, those little preferences. And then they integrate all those things into one mush, right? And that becomes your favorite band. So it's the combination, right? And if you have an intense focus on that, and this is the practical application of that principle, if you have an intense focus on integration, whenever you learn something, and as soon as you got a new skill, bam, you get it in there. You merge it with everything else. And that's exactly the same process we talked about in the first out of these 3 videos when we talked about you take one thing and you develop it. And that's the same thing, you add to it little variations, you change the core of it, add little things to it, and then you change those as well. So it's all just like this movable bundle of notes. And that's the same thing as integrating everything right away. So you develop from the inside out. You develop like a tree instead of like mold, right? Because you integrate everything. You never learn anything without taking it and moving it from being a satellite that just, out here, this is your core. This is what you're really good at. Then you learn something else and then you merge it in there. Whether it be a chord that you have to, play up against other chords, whether it be a sequence, a lick, whatever it is, you need to get it in there so it becomes effortless, so it becomes part of a collective group of skills where you can go in all directions. Same principle with playing fast. You got sequences that you can move in between and then you can move them around the fretboard, but they're integrated, merged. Licks, sequences, when you play slow, you develop melodic lines, you stay in one place, you develop that. Everything is right? I hope we have to stop practicing different separate things and then forget about merging them and integrating them, whether it be techniques, chords, notes, scales. Same thing goes for scales. Why do you know the major minor scale and the pentatonic scale, but you're not able to effortlessly use them together? This is pentatonic. This is Dorian. Blues, Dorian, or shift to natural minor, because with the blues scale, right? And I'm not showing off here. I'm just telling you that, there's no point in learning the pentatonic scale and the major minor scales without really making sure that you can integrate them. Okay, so we got a song in C minor. Right, you can use the pentatonic scale. Oh, you can use the natural minor in the first position. You can also use the arpeggio on the third step of the blah, 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 So instead of having to think about theory and all kinds of stuff, you merge it into one shape that you can then go back and forth between other shapes, right? In that same position, right? So that's how to do it, right? That's how to make things automatic and create that fluent playing style. I hope this makes sense because it's everywhere. Literally everywhere. So go check out our new Power Lick bundle, naturally, on our website, guitarmastery.net. It's really awesome. It's packed with power licks and they follow the same principles here. It's all merged into the same philosophy, which means that when you're practicing power licks, you're using these principles. You're developing from the inside out. You're integrating your skills as you practice, and you get so much more from what you do than what you're used to when you start practicing like this. So go check them out, and I'll see you in another free video or in the other side of the website when you log in and go for the Power Lick bundle. See you.